A very good evening and welcome to another edition of Newsline Prime. Today coming to you live and direct from the Newsfirst studios here in Colombo. We're in the run-up to an election that will see the country elect a brand new head of state, and following which, of course, the Honorable Parliament of Sri Lanka will also be elected again by the general public of Sri Lanka. Today in our studios we've got a very special guest by the name of Mr. Lacille de Silva. He is the former Director of Administrations in Parliament. He's a person who'd know politicians inside out. And what better guest to have on a political program than a person of that caliber. A very good evening, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good evening to you. It's a pleasure to be with you today.
Mr. Lacille de Silva, you've been closely associated with politicians in your career that spans over 35 years. Quite an illustrious career, and we're in the run-up to an election. How important do you think it is that the candidates who come out for this election, or who put themselves, or throw their names in the hat, are transparent about their activities?
We have gone through, say, since independence, various, say, number of years, and we have seen number of elections. We have seen several leaders coming into power. It is very unfortunate. Now, the next election, I think we are at crossroads because owing to so many other reasons too. Now, as a country, in 1948, when we got independence, right, people had hopes that it'll be, we will do very well, much better, right? And I remember even in the House of Commons, when the independence debate was taken up, that was Sir Gammons, apparently, if I remember right. He had said, this is a country, one of the, with a very bright future ahead in the Commonwealth.
Right.
And I think there were reasons because, now in England, they got the voting rights and a franchise in 1918. And we got it in 1931. So naturally, we were heading for better times.
Right.
Unfortunately, for various reasons, I believe it had ended up in a situation where we are almost at the bottom, in the sense we are now, whatever the people expected and whatever the leaders then thought, even the Britishers, right? It had not materialized. Something different has happened.
But although you say that we are at the bottom, this same statement was made, 5 years back, 10 years back. People said we are right now at the bottom, but we continue to be slipping down a slippery slope that doesn't seem to have an end. Yeah,
now, when you think it over, if I remember when we were schooling, right, we were told it is a developing country, right? Even at this stage, I don't know, it is so very unfortunate.
We're still a developing country.
We are still a developing country. Now, in Singapore, when Lee Kuan Yew started building it up, right, Lee Kuan Yew pointed out that he wanted to make Ceylon there in Singapore, right, because ours was such a stable country with an excellent...
We were the idol.
Yeah, actually as a model, we were an example for the rest of the world, right, in the Commonwealth. And even Lee Kuan Yew was very happy. If he could have, right, he thought that it was the best thing if he can make a Ceylon there in his own country. So naturally, to a great extent, that was the country that we had inherited after independence. Today, unfortunately, your problem, I mean, being a young man, it's fair. Unfortunately, where are we heading for? Something like that. Now, again, let me say it this way. I think we are at crossroads, as I said, for various reasons, right? To take the country forward, we need good leaders. Now, Machiavelli had said, politics has no morality. In his way, the country is in an ideal state of affairs, really, right? But that's not what we want. We want the politicians to set an example.
So did he mean no morality by, strict adherence to procedure?
No, he now in his own style, he always argued, right, that you have to resort to basically what our politicians do nowadays.
Appeal to the people.
in the sense, what I personally think is, you know, morality, all that, eventually you will be able to take a country forward if you have good leaders. Unfortunately, like Machiavelli had said, now we are doing it the opposite way. We are not following the correct step, right? We are not doing it the correct way, because unfortunate situation in a country where we were doing so very well, the leaders, now let me go back to 1978, right? I think that was where we made a serious blunder. It came to a situation in 1978, Jayajayawardena wanted a strong parliament, a mandate in parliament with 2/3. Fortunately for him, he got 5/6, right? Now, having got all that powers, what did he do eventually? He changed the constitution. He created a president who is not answerable to the parliament. I believe that was not what was needed. Now think of the proportional representation and the preferential vote, right? Preferential vote had created a lot of problems. In my view, preferential vote is something, according to preferential voting system, we don't have a member of parliament to represent us. They represent, let me say, the party or their unions or all that, right? But they don't represent the citizens.
They are not answerable to the citizens.
They are not answerable to the citizens, right?
Because in all honesty, I don't know who I can go and speak to and say, you are my representative in parliament. Why are you doing this? And why are you not doing this?
Correct, right? And all that was changed in order to establish a strong presidency, right? Having created a strong presidency, what happened? He changed the public sector. He interfered with the judiciary. He interfered with the everything, right? Now, as you know, from that day onwards, there are all types of stories about judges being, appointed by the president and all that. Eventually, there is no independence in the judiciary. There is interference on that basis. In the end, right, we can't expect as citizens equality and fair decisions from whatever, So these are issues that needs to be resolved. At the moment, could we think, right, when we think of the big picture, like what you said, whether we will be able to, at the next elections, go forward and create a country situation politically to take the country forward?
So getting back to my initial question of transparency, the reason why I asked you this question is because recently we here at Newsfirst on the Newsline itself had an interview with Taraka Balasuriya, a parliamentarian from the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. And he is one of those individuals who had made his asset declarations public. And when I asked him, why aren't your colleagues, the rest of the opposition or the government following suit and releasing their asset declarations as well, he brought up quite a valid argument. He said that if these parliamentarians have a serious concern, and that concern is that when they release their asset declarations to the general public, certain members of their electorate, the people in their electorate, will see how much they actually own, how much balance they have in their bank accounts. And then they will come and simply ask them for handouts.
Yeah, but that's a lame excuse again, because now there is a law where they are duty bound to furnish the declarations of assets annually. Now, the biggest problem, according to what I see, now there was this Johnston Fernando's case, right?
Yes.
If I remember right, it was a fine only 1,000 rupees.
Yes,
right?
yes, true.
So my thinking
that is a case of the law being outdated.
Yeah, you have to have laws where eventually, right, they will not do this kind of things, because there must be severe punishment if in case they don't honor or by the laws. Now in this country, the biggest problem is that, right, the laws are there, sometimes laws are outdated, or if that is the case, the laws will not be enforced. So under similar circumstances, I don't think it's altogether
it's a dream. that cannot be realized.
It has to be changed. You can't continue like this. It has to be changed, right? You have to bring in new laws. You have to compel all the parliamentarians to ensure that the assets declaration forms are submitted annually. If they don't submit, there must be a heavy penalty. Those are the ways. Now see, look at this. When it comes to the poor people, right? If you commit a traffic offence, right, your penalty is 25,000 rupees, right? For a member of parliament, it's 1,000 rupees, right? This is so
Disparity.
unfair. It is so unfair. It should not be the way, right? Eventually, laws must be enforced so that they don't, commit that kind of. These are crimes. These are really crimes. These are really crimes because the allegation again is that they have been up to all types of mischiefs, right? When you are elected a member of parliament to
serve the people.
Yeah, to serve the people, you have to throw a lot of money, right? How do you eventually throw all that big money to get elected, right? Eventually, once you get into parliament, they do all mischievous things, they do anything irregular, they do all illegal things to make money, right? Having made money illegally, if you don't, now you can't give your declaration of assets because naturally there is good enough proof that they have amassed illegal wealth, and that may be the problem. But the biggest problem, what I feel, what we really need to do is to ensure that the laws are updated. Once you update the laws, they will not be able to do it. They have to conform to the law and give the assets declaration, and if they don't do that, they should be even jailed.
But then, ironically, it's the same parliamentarians that we speak of, that we accuse of large-scale fraud and corruption, that drafts the laws of this country. There's an apt Sinhala saying for this. It says, "Horage ammagin pena hana wage."
If I may use the Sinhala word, actually even the English word is okay, lawmakers, right? They are supposed to be lawmakers, right? The problem is, as lawmakers, I know over a period of time. Now, when I joined Parliament, we saw people like Gamini Disanayake, ACS Hamid, quite a lot of them, right? They had an understanding and they knew what they had to do. They knew how the role of the member, representation, legislation, oversight. Now, when you talk about oversight, nothing happens in Parliament basically, right?
So and you would know.
It is
for
basically
sure.
it is basically a very sad state of affairs, right? When you don't do all that, your duties in Parliament as a parliamentarian, you can see what's happening in the country. This is basically the outcome. Having failed to do all what you have to do as a legislator in Parliament, right? As lawmakers, they have miserably failed.
So, speaking again about the upcoming elections, do you believe that the candidates who throw their name into the hat for this election should make their asset declarations public?
They should make their asset declarations. It should be a must, right? It is already there in our law books, right? What I personally think is we have to have good leaders.
But it's not to make it public, right? It's to present it.
No. If a member of the public wants to see his declaration of assets, you can always write to the Secretary General of Parliament and obtain a copy of.
But you cannot discuss it in public.
No, because for now your public representative, your elected representative, right? He is sent there to Parliament to represent you, right? To take up your matters, right? If he doesn't do what he has to do in Parliament, right? If he has amassed a lot of wealth, probably it'll be shown in the declaration of assets, and they don't want to give the declaration of assets because it could be seen, not because of that little excuse you told me a little while ago, right? No, naturally, right? We need good leaders in Parliament. We need actually people who feel for the people, for the citizens, right? Unless you have that kind of people, they will find ways and means to deceive, at least, go through all these loopholes and amass a lot of wealth and all that. Eventually, this is what they have been doing, and they have destroyed the country. So this is good enough, and there must be a system where we elect good people in Parliament really after the next elections,
But we've been saying this, elect good people to Parliament, elect good people to Parliament for the past 70 years, and it's a known fact that the general public of Sri Lanka have not quite voted in good public representatives, maybe for the lack of choices, because one thing that I always say is that, when you go to the polling booth, it's not a choice between who's good and bad. it's the choice between the lesser of two evils. It's who is bad and who is worse.
You know, there again, this is what I always say, right? Political parties are there to grab power, okay. Right, we in our country we have 2 or 3, 4 major political parties. Actually, they have not done their duty. Now even last elections in 2015, right, civil society organizations eventually recommended that there should be a criteria when you appoint members of parliament, right, and they should conform to all those guidelines.
Right.
But they never wanted to respect all those guidelines. Eventually, they nominated the same lot. Now they are in the list. You have members of parliament who support the leader. We saw it during the last couple of months when it came to the no confidence motions and all that, right? All the no confidence motions carried substantial issues where they should have taken up, you know, and considered and voted, right? Probably against also, because some of those issues were, I mean, there were serious allegations, right? But when it comes to party, when it comes to maybe because of the systems now in place, they nevertheless the fact that there were issues of corruption, right? They did not want to
go against their leader.
They wanted to protect their government or protect the leader. Unfortunately, people are at the receiving end on that basis.
But now we are speaking about a change in parliament. There are a number of independent candidates who've come out and said, we are the third force, vote for us, we will change the country for you, we will bring about true change. But we saw a few of those candidates, their real faces quite coming out with an incident along the road, an incident of road rage recently. So are these candidates really the third force of Sri Lanka?
You know, the third force we have to select very carefully. Actually, I was also one of the people who was never interested in politics, right? But I know we have a duty, because we need good people, honest people in the country to lead the country. Because if you elect people, you know, of this caliber, say for positions or say to presidency or even prime minister or even members of parliament, right, it will be a continuation of the same thing. I think, like what Plato had said, right, we have to be very cautious. You have to send the right type of people to parliament, right? And it reminds me again, Nelson Mandela had said, actually all elected representatives should be true to themselves. Right, must be honest. So naturally we have to be very cautious to ensure that, if possible, I don't know, it's a big problem nowadays, because when it comes to issues, right, whether it is in politics or in society or in the public sector, it's very difficult to find good people, honest people, you know. So naturally we have a hard task, but we are trying very much to see whether we could, you know, gather a good group of people so that eventually we could nominate a better set of people to parliament, right? And we are very much concerned about this, because this is a very crucial thing that we need to do in the interest of the country.
Of course, what you do now, eminent people like you who are working who are in the field of civil activism, will quite depend on our future, the future of the youth of this country. And now and again, the youth vote at this election has been said to be one of the determining factors of this election. Speaking about the youth vote, do you think the youth will make a change this time?
I have a feeling, you know, it is so very unfortunate during the last couple of decades, right? Now JVP, right, eventually owing to that, good number of youth with highly spirited, very strong, very good personalities, right? Very strong men, young men were killed, right? Even with regard to the LTT, it could have been the same thing. They were out for seeking social justice, right? Let me say it that way, right? There again, they were killed. Now, I know youth this time they are committed. They want a change. We are in touch with a lot of them, and they are very much interested. I'll tell you a nice story. We were in Monragala, and they had organized a seminar for businessmen, right? Actually, all the people they had contributed to make this event a success. Now, end of the day, after the ceremony was over, the businessmen they said, we want to contribute some more money for you to continue with these matters, right? What the youth said was, no, we have savings 79,000 rupees more. We don't want anything more right now, right? If we start another project, we have this one, the little saving also, and if we need, we will come to you, right? And we will always be transparent. So this is how the youth are now thinking, right? Naturally, I believe we will be able to ultimately work with groups of this nature, you know, this kind of youth, and I believe we'll be able to select youth particularly for this particular object and to achieve this goal.
Now, we've seen a culture in Sri Lankan politics where either it's family politics or it's, you know, politics with your friends. We see on the side of the SLPP, you get the Rajapaksa regime going on, and then on the side of the UNP, you get Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and his friends governing the country. How long do you think will it take for the youth to enter parliament, to enter politics properly at a point where they can make substantial change in Sri Lanka?
I like to make an, you know, send an invitation to the youth watching this program, right? We are open to discuss your problems and all that. It is very unfortunate they have not been heard. Now the Prime Minister also recently said, but I don't know whether they are genuinely doing all that. Now, youth, I think, needs a good opportunity, right? Even J.R. Jayawardene in 1978, in his manifesto, he said, nepotism will be totally eradicated, right? But we talk about nepotism even
today,
even at this moment, right? It had gone on. But really, we have to think in terms of meritocracy, right? Young men who are capable will have to be brought forward, and we will do that. And we are definitely committed to do that. Only problem is we are at the moment trying to unite all of them. Actually, we have to do that, and we have a. I will let you know. I will not make use of this opportunity because it's something else, right? We are trying to unite all of them, and we have a very important ceremony in the sense official gathering, our inaugural meeting on the 31st, right? Actually, it is an opportunity to take the young men and give them a start and support them so that we will definitely at least take the responsibility to make this change, you know?
Because when it comes to the youth of this country, do you believe that today's youth are strong enough to step up to the plate? Because this is quite a massive challenge. I mean, we're talking about change in a country that hasn't changed for 70 years.
You know, I have been always telling, you all have invited me for various discussions and all that, right? I'm very happy we have youth like you all in the group, MTV group, right? I have always said if we can create the same culture in the public sector, we'll be very lucky. We can do that. Unfortunate situation is in the public sector, we have people who do not conform and who do not respect, right? Say, or at least want to consider that youth have the ambitions, right? Actually, now time is up for us to change all that, stop all that, and give the youth a chance. Not only the youth, even see the elderly, right? See the women, everybody, they are suffering, right? But we want the youth to come forward, get involved with us, and make this change so that eventually the country will be on the right track. I don't expect anybody in the existing political system, they will do an honest job. We want good, honest young youth, right? We will also be very sincerely do what we have to do for the cause, and we are happy. I think we are fairly successful at the moment. I like to tell them, right? All of us have to get together.
Definitely. But I have a question for you, Mr. Lacille de Silva. What do you say for the people who, when you speak about politics, they say, no, I'm not interested in politics. That's not my thing. Politics is a cesspool of political bias, and I don't want anything to do with it. What do you have to say for those people?
You know, actually, even in my case, I don't want to get into politics, right? Because I didn't like it. I never had a dream of doing a thing like this, right? But we are trying to change. We will never join any of the existing political parties and work with them. If we succeed, we will definitely give it a start for the next elections, a new project, so that there'll be new faces, right? What we really want to do is to start this completely new. We don't want anybody who is involved in politics. We really know, as I like what you told me, having served in parliament for 35 years, you know, to tell you, we have suffered enough having tried to do the right thing. I was even sent on compulsory leave. I'm not mentioning this just to you know, say some particular problem I had. No, when you do the right thing, this country did not allow people to do the right thing, right? We have to change that culture. We need a culture where you can, without any fear, boldly do the right thing, right? Unless you have a atmosphere where you can do what is right. Now here they do the wrong thing and they are covered, they are safeguarded by the corrupt politicians. This system should be changed, right? If we have good leaders at the top who will not protect the corrupt, who will not protect, you know, the people who do all mischievous things in the public sector, right? We have to create a better public sector. We want a public sector like in Singapore, because Lee Kuan Yew had said, we are reliable, we are trustworthy. Because of that reason, there's investment coming in, right? In this country, the public service is not trustworthy. Politicians are not trustworthy. We have to change all that, right? We can definitely do that. If we do that, this is going to be a wonderful place. This is going to be a heaven within a very short period. And I think we should do that.
Sri Lanka can definitely fall within the ambit of a utopia if we have the proper leaders to go about it. But one thing that really made me feel like an election is coming up is with the statements that politicians make, you know, the handouts. One specific statement of that sort was the statement of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. I can clearly remember him very recently saying that he is going to give a gym set to each village. I can remember a similar promise that came in 2015 when they were contesting for the general election, saying that we will provide Wi-Fi to everybody in this country. But we all know where those promises have materialized, and how important it is that the people are aware that these are the tactics that these politicians employ to steal their vote and then stay in power and then do the complete opposite of it.
You know, they promised to give 10,000 jobs, no, 1 million jobs, right?
500,000 if I can remember.
1 million or something.
Quite a lot.
Yeah, right.
Huge amount.
Eventually, after 4 years, what have they done? They have given 600,000 Samurdhi recipients, right? Are they creating jobs, or are they adding more fuel to fire, in the sense?
Yes,
they are really not doing what they had promised. Actually, they are eventually trying to create a situation where the poor masses will eventually vote them. No, I don't think. Please don't, you know, what I personally...
Don't fall for their tricks.
Yeah, don't get caught to their tricks. This is all cheap politics, right? Now they give uniforms, they give milk, right? Now when I was a small boy, even during that period, they were talking about giving milk to students, right? Actually, what you need to give is better education, right? Educate the children. There are schools without roofs, without roadways, all that. People go through all the hardships. There are about 1,500 schools shut down after from 1978 to up to now. Now, what I'm trying to say, we had visionary leaders like CWW Kanangara, right? Unfortunately, we don't have anyone of that caliber, similar caliber at the moment, at present, right? If we have leaders of that caliber, they will not give milk or shoes or slippers. They will definitely upgrade the quality of education. We need better people in this country.
What about awarding of tabs to upgrade the quality of education? How do you see that?
All that is in my view, right? I want these young men to realize actually they are playing all tricks on the masses to deceive the people. Don't get tricked. You have to look at all those carefully, analytically, and think. We don't want tabs, right? What we want is good education. What we want is good hospitals. What we want is better transport facilities, right? And improve agriculture, improve fisheries, improve all that, right? If you could do all that, definitely, I think people will be happier. There'll be more jobs, right? And there should be investment. Now look at this whole problem. They are so proud to say that they have got so many millions of loans. Actually, if you can even save what they waste here, right, and invest all that for the benefit of the people, I believe there'll be a better day for tomorrow. for our people.
For the future generation.
For the future
of
generation,
this country,
right?
of course. And Mr. Lacille de Silva, just quite rightly that you mentioned that the general public of this country needs a better education system, better schools, proper sanitary facilities for the schools that they go in, proper road facilities. All of these were covered under the News First Gummather initiative that our colleagues are currently on, and we will continue to report on those issues to make the voices of the rural Sri Lankan, people living in rural Sri Lanka,
Voice of the voiceless.
Voice of the voiceless heard to the general public. And it's your vote, it's your decision that can make a difference in their lives as well as yours. Thank you very much, Mr. Lacille de Silva, for joining us on our show this evening. Thank you very much to all our viewers out there for tuning in. Until next time, I'm Sharlan Benedict. Take care and God bless.